Force be with you.
Hello and welcome back to the Droid Fan Club. The coronavirus can't stop this powerhouse. Look, today we're going to be talking about the Revenge of the Sith. Let's do this.
All right.
So, Jackson, why don't you ask us some questions?
Okay. So, as a kid, I have to say that this was probably my favorite Star Wars movie. And I think this film has quite a lot of action scenes in it, and fleshes out the Clone Wars conflict in itself quite a bit more than the other two prequel movies. In my opinion, it is the best of the prequel films. And so, what is your opinion on that film in regards to its predecessors? You say it's better? Worse? I think universally speaking, most people would agree this is the best of the prequel films. So, if you don't agree, be warned, there may be rioters at your house tonight. So, very careful with what you say here.
Well, I agree that it's the best of the prequel films, and I also think it has some of the best fight scenes in the whole saga.
Oh yeah, certainly.
Like,
Definitely.
The Mustafar fight with Obi-Wan and Anakin. There were some great maneuvers there by both sides.
Oh yeah.
I also think not just in lightsaber duels, but in like war battle scenes. This
Like
has some really good ones.
Like the attack on Kashyyyk.
Yeah, but
Order 66 looked really nice.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
The beginning scene with the Battle of Coruscant, that starfighter battle, that is really done well, in my opinion, because one, it looks much better than any of the effects done in the previous prequel films.
Yeah.
But also, it's just a lot more entertaining in it. Somewhat reminiscent of the starfighter battles you would get in the original film, but also has its own Clone Wars spin on it, and I think it helps, sort of helps flesh out that conflict a bit more. And then also, like you said,
absolutely.
But also, like you said, Drew, the Battle of Kashyyyk, and Utapau, when Obi-Wan and his Legion attempt to assassinate Grievous. I think those two are really well. They're on really unique planets, and they really help flesh out the idea of this ongoing war between these two factions. And I just really like that. It makes the Clone Wars era in itself quite a bit more interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so both of you would say that this is probably certainly the best of the prequel films.
Best of the prequel
Easily.
films.
Yeah,
And
not
top
best.
3 for overall Star Wars.
Certainly not, in my opinion, certainly not best Star Wars film, even though as a kid I thought that, but that was mostly because, again, like we said, there are some really good action scenes in it, like some really good lightsaber duels, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Grievous, Anakin and Obi-Wan, some highlights of this film, but also just really good starfighter battles as well. But yeah, I think this is a very good conclusion to a very mediocre trilogy. I was quite surprised with how much more entertaining this film was in comparison to the other two.
Normally in movies, the third movie is always the worst, but it seems like quite the opposite in Star Wars, because we have the Revenge of the Sith, and then we also have 2 other great movies, except for maybe The Rise of Skywalker. I mean, that was a good movie, and it finished out the trilogy well, the Skywalker trilogy, but it wasn't great.
Yeah. But I find it quite interesting how it's like this. I find it interesting how this film fleshed out those parts a lot more than the other two did. It's like George Lucas, or I don't really know who did this film. Was it George Lucas or wasn't? Yeah,
I don't know.
I feel like
George Lucas' original plan for the prequel were to be about midichlorians, like the whole 3 movies.
yeah, but this film fleshes out quite a lot more of its character, its conflict, and its story quite a bit more than the other two. And it's almost as if they went all guns blazing with this conclusion because they went, oh, these other 2 films, they're not that good. Let's just jam in everything in there. And so the conclusion to this trilogy kind of has it all. And I just kind of wish the other 2 films were like this, but
yeah. Imagine if we had the caliber of quality we had throughout all of these, that we had in the Revenge of the Sith throughout all of these films.
Yeah. But yeah, so since we've already touched on our opinions on this film, and I mentioned earlier how this film fleshes out a lot more of the story and the conflict, particularly the war. But what do you think of the Anakin's storyline in this film? Because this film is largely focused on Anakin's downfall to the dark side. What do you think? How do you think this concludes that storyline with him?
I think it's kind of well done. I think it's kind of like it's he has better acting than in Star Wars Episode 2.
Oh yeah, but the acting in this film far better than either of them.
Yeah, some of his acting skills were still a little meh, but still, it rounded up how he became Darth Vader pretty well in this film.
I'd say this film also did quite a bit better of a job of emphasizing the relationship between Anakin and Padme and how that affects his decisions, because that relationship is quite meh in Attack of the Clones, and it's not that really interesting or impactful, and it's not helped at all by very poor acting, as you said before, but their relationship is a lot more... It makes a lot more sense in this.
It's more strained.
It's more straightforward, but it also actually plays a crucial part to the story, unlike in Attack of the Clones, I'd say.
Yeah.
And good. So what about that's okay? So the conflict between Anakin and Padme, that's obviously, since we've established that's the driving force of this film, and Anakin is his love for Padme, so he supposedly contributes to his downfall to the dark side. I find that philosophy to be... I find the Jedi philosophy of no emotional attachments to be... I find it interesting because it's basically what creates Darth Vader. And it basically it leads to the downfall of the Jedi. In a way. If Anakin had as I've said before, Anakin loses when he loses his mother, he loses a crucial part of himself, and he loses a crucial emotional connection. And he only has Padme to look up to, and that's because he can relate to her, and he's quite honest with his feelings and his emotions. And that's how those two can connect, because they both live in they both have areas of life in which they're severely oppressed. Padme, she's a senator, so obviously there's the political corruption around her. And Anakin, you have the Senate, which in themselves are the Jedi Council, which are somewhat of hypocrites in ways. And
that kind of falls into the line, like, they have such a great relationship. What do you think about the death of Padme?
I think it's ironic how he killed her trying to save her. That's
also they said that she died of no will to live.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's.
It's not
that makes no sense. There is no. Like, even if you don't have will to live, your body will still sustain you.
Yeah, but yeah.
I think
so. Unless Palpatine used his powers to draw her energy into Vader. Yeah.
But I think
it's just weird.
But I think, despite the dumb explanation for how Padme dies, this has the best ending in the prequel films. It's dark. It's the good guys supposedly have lost, and now the Empire is ruling. And I think it really does set up what happens in the next trilogy. And I think if the previous prequel films had taken Anakin Skywalker as a character a bit more seriously and not starting him out as an annoying brat and kind of a creep, I think this could have been a really unique analysis of a Jedi who feels constant anger towards his masters and leads to a dark path. I think this could have been a really really unique story, and Okay, so we've discussed Anakin Skywalker and Padme, their relationship, quite a bit, but we do get a lot more emphasis on Anakin's relationship with his master. There's quite a lot of playful banter between the two, and we get more insight into Obi-Wan's his respect for Anakin as a Jedi and he says so himself in the sense that he's quite proud of what Anakin's accomplished. And so you really get the sense that despite the fact that Anakin has very poor relationship with the Jedi Council as a whole, he has a pretty decent relationship with his master, which does raise the question of how even though he doesn't have much interactions with the council, how they must have had a big impact on him for him to take such a drastic turn, even though he had a Jedi Master who was quite supportive of him.
Yeah. Well, I think it was mostly the fact that the council was telling him to do stuff that he didn't really want to do and he didn't really think was right. Even though technically it was right, it was just not rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
I think Obi-Wan as a character in this film is also a lot more likable. We get obviously we have some iconic lines and scenes from him in this film, but he's just a lot more likable in this film as a character. I think he was quite bland in The Phantom Menace, as was Qui-Gon Jinn, in my opinion. And he wasn't that much better in Attack of the Clones. But I think this film does help him as a character.
I think it's mostly because he was the most of the comedic relief in the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Jar Jar Binks. But yeah. So another interesting thing I noted is there are some very extended scenes with two characters who have been previously introduced but not really explored that much. Yoda and Mace Windu. I think, and that I really like the attention they give to those two characters. I really enjoy when the reaction Yoda gives when he realizes how the Jedi Order is slowly crumbling, and he has this look of, we've lost, it's over. this. How could we not see this happen? What did we do wrong? I think in the prequel films, he's quite different of a character than he is in the original trilogy. He's a lot more playful, he's a lot more carefree in the original trilogy, and I think this event probably impacted him quite a bit and led him to developing that mindset. Because his entire idea, his philosophy, has basically led to the downfall of the Jedi Order. Their teachings basically create the monster that kills them, and I think that mindset really impacts him in a way. Also,
like if they hadn't had such strict rules, then they might have survived. Well, maybe have some lacks.
They would have had more people who survived because they still had the clone trooper problem with the chips in their heads.
If they hadn't treated Anakin the way they did, he wouldn't have been corrupted by Palpatine, and they likely would have been able to stop him.
Yeah.
Even though Palpatine could make Order 66, Anakin was still a crucial part of his plan because he's been communicating with him from the beginning. And so that the clones are only part of his plan, and bringing Anakin Skywalker to the dark side is when things will really start to kick off, and when the Empire will truly begin its foundation.
Yeah. Because Anakin killed all the people in the temple, and most of the Jedis are in the temple. Yeah. There's 300 Jedi, and then there's only like 20 of them out in the field. So then he has to go and kill the other 250 of them.
Anakin leads the...
then he has to go and kill the younglings too.
Yeah. He leads the assault with the Skywalker.
Whatever shall we do?
But I also think I wouldn't. And another character I quite liked in this film was Mace Windu. He obviously doesn't play a big part in the story, but he is given a lot more scenes and a lot more things to do. He is as a quite powerful Jedi master who is almost successful in taking down Palpatine. He's hit.
Yeah. If it wasn't for Anakin, he would have won.
But he's given a lot more to do, and it really showcases how the kind of Jedi he is, and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah.
It's also one of the reasons Anakin went to the dark side, though.
Yeah.
Because he was limiting Anakin's job.
I do wish he had a lot more, just because I really like him as a character, Mace Windu, and his personality. So I wish he had a bit. I wish he had a bit more to do in this movie, but
yeah.
Yep.
Samuel L. Jackson is a Jedi Knight. Best thing ever. Okay. So in this film, obviously, we get the not that shocking reveal of Palpatine being a Sith Lord, and then we also...
You can tell by the chin.
We also get...
Every movie, you could tell by the chin.
That is true.
We also get General Grievous as a villain. And so, what do you two think of them? And also... Yeah.
Grievous, I don't...
Introduced...
Because...
Okay, also, Darth... what's his name?
Dooku is pretty much killed within Yeah, he doesn't play a big part though because he's killed within
Unless you
the
watch
first.
the Clone Wars, then you don't
Unless
know
Yeah.
who he is.
But
Yeah.
we're talking this film. In this film, he doesn't play a big role because Palpatine one gets him killed off because it's all part of his.
They should have either
master
introduced him earlier or not killed him off.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I think just to begin with, he wasn't that particularly interesting as a villain.
Count Dooku? Well,
He's he's the perfect example of a gray villain. He only is a Sith because he believes that's what will end the war quickest.
yeah. But technically, well, yeah. The war was technically not even a war. It was more like a thing to make everybody go bankrupt. Because technically, no matter who won the war, Palpatine would have still ended up in charge.
Yeah.
It's
just all part of his plan.
Yeah. And Dooku would have died either way since it was his master plan to get Anakin Skywalker as his Padawan. So
yeah.
Then there's Grievous. He has a coughing problem and he has
that was actually George Lucas's voice with the coughs because he had bronchitis during filming.
Robot.
Yeah. General, I don't see how they promoted him to a general. He's cowardly and he's
a robot with helicopter arms.
Yeah.
How would you not have him as your general? He's one of my.
Think about it though. He's kind of a foolproof. Like you don't lose anything if he fails.
That's true.
Yeah. I think obviously Grievous and Dooku. Again, neither of them have that much to do. You have the really cool duel with Grievous and Obi-Wan. But other than that, their character isn't really fleshed out until, like you said earlier, the Clone Wars animated series. But that whole series is about the war, so it makes sense that those two characters played crucial parts in that TV series. Yeah. I really like Grievous. Just his design, I think, is really interesting.
Creative. His backstory is cool too. He wasn't always the robot. He was.
Story. I like the idea of a cyborg alien with 4 helicopter arms and lightsabers. I wish he did.
Oh yeah, and that weird face.
I wish we could see him. I wish we saw more action of him though, because
I wish they gave us more of a backstory of him in the movies, because you have to kind of dig around in the Star Wars franchise to find his backstory.
Yeah.
Did more. I wish he killed some Jedi, because he clearly has done it in the past. So
he kills them in the Clone Wars.
I wish we did. I wish we saw some Jedi killing in this movie. I would have loved it.
I mean, they could have, but then that would have boosted up the rating to R.
I just want to see Grievous just rip and tear through the children. Not Anakin. Grievous. The cyborg.
Not Anakin.
No. Well, that's.
Wait, what if he just he could use the children as swords.
Wow, that's violent. That's a violent thought. Now I'm gonna have that image stuck in my head for the rest of the day.
Children don't make good weapons, Wesley. They make great meat shields, though. So.
Yes, exactly. So he has his lightsabers in the back 2 hands, and he's swinging the children in the front 2.
Ah, yes.
He puts another set of arms on him, and he grabs 2 kids and uses them as shields, while he has his 4 other arms with lightsabers. Where has this conversation gone? Okay.
I mean, I kind of. Okay.
Let's get off the violent topic of using children as weapons.
Star Wars rated R cut. I'd like to see that now.
So, what did you guys think about the Order 66?
I thought that it was sad, but it was a cool scene.
Yes.
I
remember watching it as a little kid, and I got really mad.
You see all your Jedi friends get slaughtered, But hey, at least all the clones didn't get
I saw all
slaughtered.
my heroes die.
Is it bad that I was rooting for the Separatist Alliance in that movie?
I mean,
And so when
technically-
Order 66 came about, I was like, heck yeah, Galactic Empire for the win. Let's do
Heck
this.
yeah.
No, that hurt.
I mean, if you think about it, when Order 66 happens, you start to notice, wait a minute, there's no good guys in this movie. They're all bad guys. Oh no,
Yeah,
my
everyone's
heroes worked for bad guys? Uh-oh, I have an internal problem now.
Yes.
Where to go from that? But yeah, I think that'd be the. No. I
That's
guess
kind of the climax of the movie.
I don't know. I'd say I feel like Anakin Skywalker. I feel like the confrontation between Mace Windu and Palpatine, and then Mace Windu dying and Anakin becoming Darth Vader. I feel like that would be considered the climax of the film. I
Yeah,
think Order 66 would be the
Order
falling
66 is
Little-
right after.
Yeah, slowly everything goes to total heck.
Everything goes according to plan.
Mm. So yeah,
Yes.
very unexpectedly enjoyable conclusion to a unenjoyable trilogy. So, and
Wow.
then in a couple of years from now, we get chronologically speaking, the next film, not chronologically, but like
The next trilogy.
next trilogy is obviously the original movies, which are going to be the ones I think the most fun to talk about because, in my
It's
opinion,
kind
they're
of
the best.
sad. Disney's already announced more movies.
They need to stop. They just need to stop.
Look, when they bought
Time.
this, I said that they're going to milk this for all it's worth. And I am right.
That is what my dad said.
Stop.
But yeah.
So this one was released 2005, and so the next Star Wars film, unless you count the Clone Wars and Rebels, wouldn't be released for another 10 years with Force Awakens.
What? No, they planned it for 2021.
No, he's talking about after Star Wars Episode
Force
3.
Awakens.
Oh,
The ne-
yeah.
The next live action theatrical film, because the Clone Wars animated movie was technically released in theaters when it came out. I think it was like 2008. But the next big film was until 10 years after this. So that's quite a long span of time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do have to say that this is probably my... never mind. I definitely enjoyed this film a lot more than any of the other two prequel films. But I'd even say there's elements of it I enjoy a lot more than the sequel films as well. But
Sequel being the original or being the
No.
Skywalker?
Sequel trilogy. Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Rise of Palpatine / Skywalker. That's what it should be called. But whatever.
Rise
No,
of Palpatine.
she's a Skywalker now. Did you not hear it? She changed her name.
Skywalker.
Who wants to be a Skywalker? I mean, those guys are boring. They're moisture. They farm moisture. Moisture.
Moisture farming all day.
When we get into the sequel trilogy episodes, we can talk about those a bit more because I have some interesting things to say about them.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
How Last Jedi is clearly the most underrated film and the best of them all, I must say. Please don't hurt me. It's just my opinion. But that's for another day.
Yeah.
How did you all like the end of Star Wars Episode 3, where Luke and Leia get given off, and then Darth Vader starts watching the building of the first Death Star?
I like that ending. Like I said, I really like the dark.
It's kind of weird how long it took them to build that Death Star, considering
not
how
really.
quick they built. I mean, how quick they built the second one, though.
Oh, well, that's true. But the second one, they really knew what they were doing. The first one, I think they were designing it as they go. They were building it based off of designs, and then they keep adding on to it as technology evolves. Since you see, they didn't use the stuff that they had on Death Star. They used better tools.
Weren't there plans for a Death Star as far back as Attack of the Clones?
Yeah.
Because you see the Separatists meeting, and you have this blueprint of what would appear to be an object that looks very much like a Death Star. And so I wonder if this was an idea that goes back as far as the Separatist Alliance were planning something like this.
Yeah.
It just
they were
never
probably trying to build a better version of their huge ships. Mm-hmm. Their big U with I don't know what they're called. What are they called?
Command
ships. They're blockade command ships. Yeah, they were trying to build a better version of those, probably to start off with, and then they're like, "Hey, we can build a super weapon now." Hey, wait, we're dead now. So now Emperor Palpatine's gonna use this super weapon to destroy his enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Except he only gets to use it 3 times.
Yeah. Yeah. So after this,
we also kind of see that emerge in the new movies with the big planet boy.
Killer Base.
Star Killer Base.
Wasn't that Darth Vader's apprentice name?
They named it Star Killer, which, if you don't know your lore, there is a video game called The Force Unleashed, in which Darth Vader has an apprentice named Star Killer.
Which is kind of a nice subtle nod towards that.
Yes, but
I think those games, if you would like to buy them, are on the Xbox 360.
It's also a nice nod to 2 video games that will never be canon. Thanks, Disney.
Yeah.
That could have been a good story. But yeah, so after this, OG trilogy. That will be fun, in my opinion.
And then after what we have... Well, actually, no. There's 2 movies in between the OG trilogy.
I thought we were doing...
we have Solo and Rogue One. It's chronological.
Wait, hold up. I thought we were doing the Skywalker saga and then the spin-off film. That's what was.
No, we gotta go chronologically.
We gotta go chronologically, man.
So are we... Does that mean we're going through with the entire... every single season of Clone Wars as well?
Afterwards. We're going back.
I really want to get to the original trilogy because I love this film.
Yeah.
Alright. So, Solo's our next one.
Yes.
That's the
Solo's up next.
Alright.
We'll most likely be releasing that either next week or the week after. Plans may change.
I quite like Solo.
It was a good movie, yes. Hey, save it for the podcast. For all you Star Wars nerds out there that are single just like me, here are a couple of pickup lines to help you find someone. Can I call you my Naboo? One's pretty good. Did it hurt when you fell from Cloud City? Honey, you've been looking for love in Alderaan places. How can you be from an ice planet when you're so hot? R4 is red, R2 is blue. If I was the Force, I would be with you. This nerf herder doesn't want to fly solo tonight. Use those out and get back to us and see how they work. Until next time. God bless America. God bless George Lucas. I hate sand. It's coarse, it's gritty, and it gets everywhere.